Hey guys, it's Eric Crowder from Nerdy Geek Talk, source for all your nerdy geeky needs, here with episode 3 of TFPrimecast. It's been a while, but hey, we're back and we should be more consistent from now on, so hey, don't
And it's
worry,
only
we're
two of us
here.
this time.
Yeah, we are missing John, unfortunately, but that's okay. We'll make it through this episode. These aren't two super significant episodes anyways, at least not the second one. The first one actually does pertain to a lot that we'll get to. But um, either way, don't worry. We'll be back with more, and John will be back at some point. We promise. So,
Yeah,
yes, it's just me and Aaron. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Like I told you before the show, I've been feeling like garbage the past 2 weeks, just a lot of congestion. So if you hear me snorting in the background, it's me not trying to choke on mucus, probably.
It's actually him doing cocaine, but you didn't hear that from
Hey,
me.
hey, shh.
Um,
It's an
but
upper class drug, remember.
as um as I mentioned, we are doing two episodes. The first of which is Master and Student, which is the Skyquake episode, basically. And the second episode is Scrap Heap, which is the episode with the
Yes.
Scraplets and a certain moment, but we'll get to that. Um,
And I'm just gonna say full disclosure, we both watched these episodes like 3 weeks ago, planning to do this episode 3 weeks ago, and then everything just it
yes,
just went so wrong.
yes,
So we're working off our notes and not watching the episodes essentially.
I was gonna say, yeah, I have notes, and I remember basically what happened in the episode, but that doesn't mean I understand how my notes pertain to it, so we're gonna get through this,
Exactly.
but alright, so for Master and Student Skyquake episode, first note I have is Starscream watching death footage. I think I was
Oh.
confused why he was watching Megatron die. I'm pretty sure he was just watching the death footage of Megatron, and I'm like, why is he just rewatching that? Like, is he just that happy and it's like watching the happiest moment
Yeah,
of his life, or I don't know. I just thought it was odd, but
I my first note is just Starscream you slut. I'm assuming it's in reference to something involving that. I honestly couldn't tell you. Like I said, I have it written 2 times in
oh,
my
you know what
notes,
it
and
is?
I have.
I bet it's probably because what I have next is his Starscream speech, which I'm guessing is
Oh
probably
yeah.
him talking about how great he is and how he's continuing on.
Yeah, that's probably it. That would explain why I have it a second time.
And then I have cute Viacons. I'm guessing the Viacons did something I thought was funny, like almost in a cute way.
I have a note for that actually. I said the Viacons asked the right questions because I one that really popped out to me was how Viacom went, "How are we gonna conquer Earth if Megatron couldn't do it? Like, what's so good about you?" And then Starscream calls himself the Emperor of Destruction, and I'm like, "Oh, Starscream, you slut!" Like that. Make that a hashtag.
But oh man, I do like that it's like, oh yes, Starscream finally gets to be the leader. Why is Starscream the leader? Like, why are we even trying if Starscream's the
Yeah,
leader? I love that
like
that's the reaction. And
they
then,
they immediately just give up. Like they're just like, "Yeah, we're screwed. This is it. This is how we all die."
and I
Like,
do like how this actually does drive Starscream's motivations later, and it plays in later. But we'll get to that with the whole thing of everyone
yeah.
downing him. Um,
But I do want to say with that like question and like how that whole situation was set up because it was set up also very comedically.
mhm.
I noticed this like looking back through my notes and also remembering the episode. Like this is the episode where there's a very like there's a tonal shift somewhat in the series. Like the first 5 episodes are very serious, but then like the moment we hit this episode and we start actually going into the show, there's like there's a lot more humor thrown in. Like, and you notice that as the series goes on as well. Like, there's just a lot more lighthearted humor in it. Like, the
Agreed.
first 5 episodes are just straight, just tonal darkness.
I was
But
gonna
then
say,
once
yeah,
you get
things
after
are
that, like,
things are
yeah,
still pretty dark later, and like
yeah.
the dark things
But there's
happen.
still
But
like
I agree,
humor.
there's still a lot of humor that gets mixed in. There wasn't a ton. There was some in the first couple episodes, but really not that much.
Very, and it was mostly Cliff Jumper.
Agreed. Who?
So like, it
Yeah,
was like that first episode and a half.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I had my next note is that Optimus Prime isn't happy that Megatron's dead.
Yeah,
He literally he's like, yeah, I wanted to redeem Megatron essentially. I'm like, I find that so interesting. Like that's never ever a thing where Optimus Prime wants to redeem Megatron ever before now. That's never been a thing. And again, that's because this line continuity sets up Optimus and Megatron to have much more tied together origins as Megatronus
yeah.
and Orion Pax. But I find it so interesting that Megatron's dead. Like even that they were so tied together at the beginning that the war has driven them so far apart. Yet, even when Megatron dies, it's like, man, I really wish I could have brought my friend
I
back
mean,
over to my side.
with a lot of continuities, it's been kind of a thing that Optimus has never wanted to kill Megatron. Like that's always been kind of a thing, you know?
But there's a
Like,
difference between
yeah,
not wanting to kill someone and like taking them prisoner and wanting to redeem someone. He
yeah.
he wanted to redeem Megatron. Like he wanted to turn him, not take him prisoner. Like it wasn't like I didn't want to kill him.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
like I
saying,
didn't
like,
want
that's
him
been a
dead.
thing
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Like, they just took it to an extreme, which, if you also think about when that came out, we didn't have, like, I don't think the novels were out at the time.
I
The
don't think
games weren't
so.
really out. The games were kind of out, but they didn't go
As
into
you
that
say, the
really.
games don't go into that.
And the Covenant of Primus wasn't out yet. The Covenant of Primus wasn't out until, like, I think almost the end of Prime, because it references a lot of stuff in Prime in there. And so that just kind of would come out of left field to most people. Like,
Mhm.
we've seen, like, Optimus not want to kill Megatron before and, like, just not want to cross that line, but we've never seen him go, I could have redeemed him. Like, we've never
Yeah.
seen that. We've never seen that in the original G1. We've never seen that in, like, Armada or, like, Energon or Cybertron, even though they've worked together in those. Optimus never goes, oh, I'm going to try and redeem you. They're always like, this is just kind of like a necessary thing we have to do. And then in Armada, they kick each other's butt in a pretty well done fight. But,
Mhm.
like, it's just never really been a thing until now.
Yeah. So I just thought that was very interesting, and I like that. Like personally, I find that to be a lot more interesting of a story, as where
Yeah.
he's like even when Megatron's dead. Although spoiler alert, he does not stay dead because
Less
yeah.
than a season, I think.
Oh yeah, he's back well before. I mean, we
He,
literally get to see
yeah.
him brought back. Um, well, actually, he's not dead, but we'll get to that.
He comes back
Um,
faster than Jean Grey, essentially.
yeah, but no, he's literally not dead at the moment that we're talking right now.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
we'll get to that because it's in this episode.
Yeah,
Um,
but that scene is very serious. Then we go into a very joking scene, like I said, with the.
Autobots, let's do homework.
I literally just wrote, "Can you build me a small intestine?" Because I'm like, you know what?
That was
That's a
funny.
clever line.
Yeah,
That is, I like
I
that.
did like that. How Jack's like, why don't you understand how machines work? And she's like, why don't you understand how your internal organs work? Like
Yeah,
which I'm like, that is a very valid point. Like, I get why some people would assume that, hey, they're made of machines. Of course, I understand it. How well do you understand the human body unless you're a doctor?
exactly. Like that's. I thought that was a very good point to bring up because we've seen that kind of stuff in other Transformers cartoons before. In G1 especially, like they were always just kind of like building stuff that was human.
Uh huh.
And while never showing any knowledge of it, Wheeljack was just kind of like, yeah, I built this car. How did I build it? Who knows? Like,
But like, I would say that it even makes sense for Wheeljack to build it because Wheeljack's like a scientist slash,
yeah,
like, and like Ratchet, like, a
that's
medic.
that's
Like,
true.
that's when it makes sense. But like, when it's just anyone and they build a random thing, it's like that doesn't make
That is true.
sense. So, but yeah, I do like how they have that little jab back and forth. But yeah, I did think it was interesting that the Autobots' mission is to do homework.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of the lighthearted part of the episode, but then we get back to serious with them hunting for Skyquake.
Well, we kind of get back to serious, but not quite yet because there's Optimus Prime and Bumblebee are sent off, but then we get back to Starscream, who is awakening Skyquake. And the first thing is he's like, "I serve one master only." Starscream's like, "Yes, this is gonna be great. This is gonna inspire all the troops. Thank God my problems are solved." And Skyquake's, "It's not you, it's Megatron." And he's just
I
like,
do want
he's like,
to,
"Megatron's dead. Why is this so hard for
yeah.
everyone to accept?"
With before that though, there's when he has Soundwave find him. What I found very interesting, and maybe this is me thinking retroactively, and even in the beginning they kind of set this up that Soundwave knows all, hears all, and sees all, but yet he doesn't find Skyquake like first go. So to me, that kind of popped up as Soundwave maybe didn't want to find Skyquake. Like Soundwave doesn't have to boost his signal. His signal's already boosted. Like because Starscream says boost the signal, blah blah blah. And then he finds Skyquake. But I'm like, if Soundwave didn't do it in the first place, he probably didn't want to do it at all. Like that's what I found interesting about that.
That is interesting. I don't know. I had the question of why didn't Megatron just bring back Skyquake? Because
Yeah.
Starscream didn't take long. I mean, in all fairness, we don't know what the passage of time is in this. Like, it
Yeah.
could have been a while since the opener happened. Um,
Yeah.
we don't know, in all honesty. But It doesn't seem like it. It seems like Starscream
It
found
seems like
him
like a
relatively
day or
quick.
two later.
But yeah, so we don't know. I mean, in all fairness, I feel like actually there probably would have been a time skip because I think they would have needed some recovery time after, outer
Yeah.
space and giant explosions and everything. Like, they probably did need some time to recover. But I don't know. I do find it interesting. It's just like that. Like that's how it seems to us. But again, time
Yeah.
skips in the show. Who knows?
And
Uh,
then I also have on my next note before getting into the whole Skyquake thing, when Optimus and B do go there and they like come out of the portal and stuff, they're talking about B being a scout. And I noticed in this episode that they set up a plot point with B very early on that doesn't even pay off until like the end of the series, which is B is a scout. And like they mention it multiple times throughout the show that B is a scout and he's been that way for like millions of years. And it takes a lot to move up from like class to class as a warrior. And I thought it was very interesting that they kind of sowed the seed of that from the very beginning because they mention it multiple times in the episode too that he is just a scout.
yeah, he gets. When does he rank up to warrior? I want to say
He doesn't rank up until after Megatron is actually finally dead.
No. He ranks up before that because Smokescreen takes on the rank of scout.
No, remember they go to Cybertron afterwards, and then Optimus does the whole like knighting thing.
Does he? I swear
Yeah.
that they made him a warrior before that. Maybe
No,
I'm wrong.
no,
Huh?
Blue Streak and Bumblebee just kind of shared the rank together, really.
Not Blue Streak, Smokescreen.
Or yeah, Smokescreen. He's blue, okay?
Well,
He's
not at
blue.
first, but
Not at first, but yeah, no, they I just assume they shared the rank together because they were always on the scouting missions.
I don't know. That's a good point, though. I really thought that Prime kind of gave him the rank before that.
Nah, they didn't like verbally change his rank. Like they didn't officially change his rank until he was on Cybertron because I think B also said he didn't want to change rank until Cybertron
That's
was
right.
free.
No. That's right. B specifically said. I think it's said before that Optimus tried to give him the rank, and B
And he
wouldn't-
refused
B
because he wants to do
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So that's
That wasn't until later in the series when they reveal that though.
No, yeah, I know. But
They
that-
reveal earlier in the series that it takes a lot to rank up when Raph asks, well, why isn't he a warrior with all he's done? And Optimus is like, it takes a lot to rank up. But then they reveal that B just didn't want to.
Yeah.
Because Cybertron wasn't free. And he wouldn't do it until Cybertron was their home once again.
I do
So
find that, yeah, that is pretty interesting. I'm curious if that was actually their goal to set up or if.
they
don't
stated
know.
it like 3 times in the episode. I assume it meant something to someone.
So, yeah.
But then we get to Skyquake, who is really, really tall, especially
is
compared to his
massive.
brother as well. Because I don't think Dreadwing is that big.
I think he might be. I don't
You
know,
think?
though. I'm okay. The reason I think he probably is because they probably reused the show model.
That's true, but I don't. Was Skyquake taller than Optimus? Because if so, I don't remember Dreadwing being taller than Optimus.
I think he.
But then again,
was-
Optimus was
I
in his
think-
new body when Dreadwing showed up. So.
Yeah, was no,
Yeah.
he wasn't.
Or wait,
No, he wasn't.
yeah, you're right. I have it mixed up. Wow, it's been forever since I've seen
Yeah,
Prime.
no, but I think Dreadwing's about as big as Bulkhead because that's who I can
Yeah.
think of him fighting. I don't know though. He doesn't have a whole lot of on-screen time with Optimus specifically. I don't think.
Yeah.
Other than like the first time, I don't. I could be wrong on that, but I do
Yeah.
believe he is. Maybe even he's about the same size as Megatron, maybe even a little bigger. Could be wrong on that.
Yeah. But
I don't know.
then Optimus saves Starscream from being killed by Skyquake, and he's like, Megatron's dead. We can work together. We can bring peace now.
Yeah, I like
Like-
how I like what Skyquake says too. Whenever he's like killing, he's like beating up Starscream. He's like, bow to this. He's like,
Yeah.
Starscream's like, bow, like just bow to me. Like he wants that power, and Starscream's just like, and Skyquake's just like, no. And then yeah, Optimus Prime's like, hey, I can redeem you. Just kidding. All right. Let's
Yeah.
fight.
Starscream's like, what is a king to a god? And Skyquake's like, well, what is a god to a non-believer? Like,
Yeah.
he's just like, you are not my master, and you never will be. And he never will be.
And then, well, kind of he will actually.
Yeah, well,
Do you
not till
not-
later.
I was gonna say not for a long time, but that actually does kind of happen.
Yeah, but then we cut back to they start fighting, but then we immediately cut back to like Ratchet and all of them again.
Yes. Did you have anything significant that happened in that? Because
I just said Ratchet is a control freak, and for once I agree
Yes.
with Miko because she said something along the lines of, "Wow, Ratchet's kind of crazy right now."
yes, he was going mad scientist, but
But then we get to Fowler showing up, which I thought was great. I think them showing off Fowler's skills as like a military man was really cool.
I like that. I also liked how. Wait, is this the episode? No, this isn't. What does Fowler do? I can't. Wait, is
He
that
shows up
during the fight?
and yeah, he shows up
Okay,
in his
so I have.
plane.
All right,
Remember?
that's right. I have something first because
Yeah.
Skyquake charges at them, and he does like a zombie charge. Like when he charges
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
Optimus Prime Bumblebee, he like puts his arms out. And he's like but it looks just like a zombie. Like it is not a normal way you would charge at someone. And so part of me was like, is that slight foreshadowing? I don't think it was.
Probably not. But I thought
It was so
I thought
weird.
the fight with Skyquake was actually rather like well done for an early on fight in that series.
Agreed.
Like I thought they did that well because they definitely used the environment to their advantage for that fight, like in the way they choreographed it.
My only question is, why doesn't he have a Cybertronian alt mode? Like, why can't he just turn?
I don't
into a
think
Cybertronian
none of them do though in the show. They never show any other Cybertronian alt modes.
I know, but like he specifically mentioned how he couldn't transform or
Yeah.
anything, and then he scanned Fowler's plane and transforms, which will be a thing that happens from now on. If you weren't aware,
Yeah, that happens
Fowler's-
like what, 3 or 4 times?
that
No,
happens
3 times in the
three
series.
times that I can think of. I was gonna
Yeah.
say him, Arachnid, his brother, I
Yeah,
believe.
but the fight actually, like, if you really think about it, it goes pretty fast in the episode. It's not even until like the back half of the episode, and it doesn't even take up like a lot of it.
Also, why does he say during the fight that it'll be a shame to crush you, Bug, to Bumblebee? Like, why is it a shame? Like
Because I think his only target is Optimus Prime in that moment.
I
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because Optimus provoked him, and it's very clear that like Dreadwing and Skyquake are people of honor.
Yeah, they need to
So
fulfill-
it's like
he
if they're
needs
not
to
involved
fulfill
in the
his-
fight, then they're just collateral damage. But they don't want collateral damage.
Yeah, he just wants to fulfill his mission. He doesn't really
Yeah,
care
that's
about
what I always got from it. Because he even says he doesn't like he'll regret killing Prime or something along those lines because Prime was such a man of honor as well or something.
Yeah, I think he says like I won't take pride or like I won't.
Yeah,
I
like,
won't,
he
I won't
shows
take
respect
joy or
for it.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is what I thought was very interesting because that will also come back with his twin.
Yeah,
If you weren't aware, he
which-
has a twin who is my probably favorite character from the show.
I
But-
think he's one of the best. I think a lot of the characters really shine around the time Dreadwing shows up. Dreadwing and after is when like all characters just start shining and stuff. Majorly, because that's also like the last season and a half, so.
Well, he doesn't. He dies before season 3 starts.
Does he?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even realize that.
He gives the Autobots the Forge, which is what sets them up to be able to recreate the
Oh,
Star
yeah.
Saber and
That's
also
right.
Prime's body.
It's been honestly
so.
like watching that show. I don't even remember it as seasons. I just remember it all going as one thing because a while ago I just rewatched it all in like a week. Like
I don't remember when Dreadwing shows up though. If he shows up partway through season 1 or if he shows up after season 2. I believe it's
Yeah.
season 2. I know that for sure because
he's very prominent there.
it's because he doesn't interact with because the end of season 1 is the Orion Pax Decepticon arc and
Yeah, no, he definitely shows
he's
up
not
in
around
season
for
2.
that because he would complicate things because I
Yeah.
feel like he would be like I can't lie to him he's not a liar. Like he's a
Yeah.
Decepticon, but he's not a liar. He's honor bound, just like
He's not deceptive.
Skyquake is. So yeah,
But
I also
Then-
thought for
go
the
for it.
fight, Bumblebee essentially guts Skyquake. Like you don't realize how brutal what he's doing is because they're robots, and especially because
but
he's
he
a
rips
plane.
out his guts
He's
essentially.
essentially whipping out his guts.
But before that, there's a scene in space with Megatron
Oh, yeah, I didn't
and
even have that.
Starscream.
Yeah, we find
Yeah.
out that Megatron's alive, but not for long because Starscream rips out the dark energon that's keeping him alive.
I remembered that scene because I wrote there's sound in space and also Starscream you slut once again because he has that scene where he's like monologuing and he takes the dark energon and then he hides it from Laserbeak and stuff.
Yeah, Laserbeak shows up because Soundwave, obviously, for the right reasons, does not trust Starscream. And he's like, hey, I found Megatron's body. We need to get him out of here. Like, come on. Even though he really just essentially killed him. But Megatron is not dead. He is in a
Yeah.
coma. Somehow, I
One-
don't understand how he's in a coma after the Dark Energon's taken out.
Because
of him,
dark
but-
energon would still be flowing through his veins.
Yeah, but aren't his veins kind of like torn apart and flowing into space? Like the
You know, Eric, I don't know. They're robots.
this
Like,
is true. Also, that almost looks like it's going through where his spark would be.
yeah, but
But
well,
Dark
it looks like
Energon
it
and the
would be
spark, I
direct
don't know.
contact with his spark. So
Which it might be why the Dark Energon's actually keeping him alive still. Like why
yeah,
it would still be there. So that, I guess it kind of makes sense.
and I mean, he also gets him back to base probably fast enough to hook him up to some life support.
This is true because Soundwave really cares. I learned some background from the Misaligned podcast, which if you don't listen to, you should because it is kind of a companion to this. It goes over the material from the Aligned continuity as a whole, but right now they're
Yeah,
doing the Covenant of Primus, the background to all of this on Cybertron. And one thing they covered is I didn't realize that Soundwave was a Cybertronian council member who was so unhappy with how things were going before the war started that he just left the council, cut off all
yep,
communication with everyone, and took a vow of silence. And that is why he is silent in Prime. He does not say a word.
yeah.
Kind of.
I think they mentioned that somewhere else besides that. I don't think they mentioned it in the
They
series.
mentioned
Did they?
how no, they mentioned how Prime.
Yeah,
I mean how Soundwave and Megatron have had a connection and how they are like friends,
yeah.
but like
They've mentioned that.
they never ever mention how Soundwave was a council member who took a vow of silence.
I
They've
think there
mentioned.
is also a comment in the series about people who have heard Soundwave's voice before.
Is there? I don't know. I don't
I feel
remember
like there
that.
has been. There's been something about him and voices involving Autobots or whatever. I'm not sure.
I'm curious if that'll come up or not. I don't remember that. That doesn't mean it's not true, but I honestly
It could have
don't
been in
remember that.
something else, to be honest. Like
I
it
feel like it
totally
might
could
be,
have
but
been.
I don't know. Because I remember watching Prime and always, I thought it was cool, but I never understood why Soundwave was silent. But
Yeah.
regardless, yeah. But yeah,
Then we have Skyquake's death, which
yeah,
I didn't like that he didn't even get last words because I felt like in general I felt like Skyquake was a wasted character. I always felt that way,
but
that he was a waste of a character. But the fact they didn't even get final words, like because there was that whole like 2 minute sequence of him of B like on top of him and he didn't say a word.
uh, but in all fairness, we essentially get Skyquake later because
Oh yeah,
it's just in different colors because Skyquake and Dreadwing have the same, but they're twins. They essentially are the same person, just with different names and colored bodies.
definitely.
Which is great because he's a cool character, especially later. But yes, Skyquake does meet his end, which is unfortunate because I like Skyquake a lot. I also think it'd be interesting to see the two of them together at some point. Like I don't think
Yeah,
we ever got any media or anything with the two of them together.
we didn't.
I would actually really kind of like to see that. Just something small with them interaction between the two of them. But yeah, he gets gutted, which is really violent if you think about it. So
It's like when
don't.
Bulkhead rips that one guy's guts out.
Yep, but I'd say that this is worse because he just keeps going at it.
Oh
Like
yeah,
Bulkhead does it in a single pull, and the guy's dead. Like this is not that. He's pulling out wires and stuff, which is essentially ripping out his guts until he crashes, and then his body's laying there half transformed. It's
but
not
they
even
bury him, which I thought was
yes,
very
which
interesting.
is makes sense. I mean, honestly, I see why they would do it. And Skyquake was an honorable being,
Yeah,
so it
that's why
especially makes
Optimus kind
sense.
of does it too.
I think Optimus probably would have done it if it was anyone but a Viacon, but
That's true.
especially because it is Skyquake, I think it was very important they did that.
Yeah.
And it was like it is a shame. So I do like that they did that and they paid respect to him, all that.
And
Yes.
then they essentially just cut to Megatron on a deathbed.
And they're like, hey, guess what? This is just
And
setting up the fact that he's gonna come back later. How
I
does
always thought of this. The way they always shot like angles of him like, in that bed always made him look like his movie counterpart.
this is true?
Like
I didn't even think about that.
it was never that they changed his model to reflect that. It's just always the angles they showed him from made him look like his movie counterpart. At least to me.
I can see that. Uh but yeah, that's mainly all the major things from this episode. Um as I said, this episode may not seem super important like a one-off, but this is not actually one of the one-off episodes,
Yeah.
which there are plenty of. This one sets up a lot of stuff. It sets up Skyquake. We get more of Skyquake later, not really, but he's revived with Dark Energon later by Starscream.
For
Um,
half an episode.
yeah, so we get that set up. We also get the setup of that he is a twin that we will see who will be a main character for a while. Probably one of the most interesting characters in the show. But then also Skyquake's whole death and revival is an integral part to Dreadwing's character later. So
Yep.
yes, there's a lot of setup that comes from this episode that you may not realize at first. But this is one of the most important episodes of season one, probably because it sets up a lot.
Yeah.
Um, without
Whereas the
even
next
realizing.
episode doesn't really set up anything.
No, it's a one-off, but it's a somewhat entertaining one. I barely have any notes for this one, so this will be
Oh,
probably
I
pretty
have
short.
actually quite a few.
Oh, really? Okay, that's fine. So this one's called Scrap Heap. First thing I have is Optimus Prime is awesome. Whenever he's like saying, oh, like Craft's like, I want to see the snow like I've never seen snow.
I
And
actually have
Optimus.
something before that,
Oh, really? Okay, go for
which
it.
is so. There's like a saying. Someone I've heard multiple people say this to me, and I can't remember who originally said it, but it's like if you have a gun in a scene, you have to use that gun by the end of the story. And the thing Ratchet does is he mentions like how subarctic temperatures will like mess with your systems or whatever. That sets up a threat for them later on in the episode, which I thought was interesting. Like they follow that rule. They set up the threat and they use it by the end of the episode. And you see shows not do that all the time, but they actually did it.
Oh yeah, which I mean, the entire reason that they said, hey, there's subarctic, like you can't be out there for long because these temperatures will hurt you,
Yeah.
is because they had the whole idea this episode they're gonna be cut off, which I thought was interesting. They really like just in retrospect, they actually came very close to dying.
Yeah.
Like they were very close to dying in a completely and pointless death, a completely just non-momented, like nothing, like unimportant, and that like man, that would suck. They were really close. Just thinking back, but what I have
Yeah, I
is
just wrote down Optidad for
yeah,
that thing
he's
you were
such
talking
a
about.
dad. Yeah, and
He's like, I'll bring back a snowball
yeah, he's
for
like,
you.
sorry, you
Like,
can't come because like that'd be too dangerous. Like you would you would die. But I'll bring you a snowball. Also, thing to notice, he doesn't bring him that snowball. I mean,
I think he was a bit
understandable-
busy dying, Eric.
Understandable, since they are dying, but still, you could have like on the way out been like, oh yeah, snow, grabbed it. Like, jeez. Although,
would've been a cute
I suppose
scene, but-
if they have a ground bridge that it's really not hard, that like literally it's like 5 minutes later, are you feeling okay? Yeah. All right, let me just go
Yeah.
outside and like get some snow. Like, oh, ground bridge, snow, here you go. But, anyways,
I did like that they set up Ratchet as like the commander when Optimus is gone. I like that.
I'm not surprised because as the last episode
Oh,
set up,
yeah.
he's a control freak.
And then
But-
I have
Well, yeah, what are your
Adventurer
notes?
Wrath.
Because I was gonna say you definitely have more notes than me. I'll just
Yeah.
interject. I literally have 3. So
I have Adventurer Wrath because I really like that scene where he's pretending to like be in the Arctic and stuff before he finds the Scraplet. I thought that was a really fun scene.
I do think
yeah.
that's important that it shows the kids using their imagination, which in all honesty I feel like it doesn't ever happen on cartoons because they're always larger than life, so they don't have to pretend. Like 'cause they're always doing
Imagination.
they're always doing things like they're always living the adventures that you as a kid pretend.
Yeah.
Because you think of that, but like it's not very often that you see a kid on a show, at least the ones that I watch, where the kid is the one doing the pretending. And I'm like, that's actually just kind
There's
of.
actually an entire show based around, or not a show, but a short on Cartoon Network's website that a lot of people want to get made that's based around that. It's called like 12 Forever or something. It's actually one of my favorite things I've like seen of a cartoon. This girl has a key to her imagination, and anything she imagines up goes there. And like she can bring her friend along, and she can imagine that they're this item, so she can have them help her in solving a problem.
Although, but like you can see the imagination and stuff.
Yeah,
in
no,
that
I
kid.
get what you're saying, but
Oh,
I'm
you're
just saying
saying
like
like
they took
this,
it like
yeah.
to 11.
Huh.
So.
That is cool.
But Raph finds the Scraplet, and I put, why does this one act all nice? And I thought maybe it's a predatory thing. Like, because every other Scraplet that they encounter isn't like that. It's just that
Well,
one.
That's the only time they encounter the Scraplets without Cybertronians around, though.
No, there's that time when they're walking through all of them, when they're all just kind of hanging out. Remember when they're going to repair stuff? None of the Scraplets notice them, but in that scene, the Scraplet does notice him.
Yeah, but I feel like being nice and stuff is different. Like I don't know. I don't think that is.
You get what I mean, though, right? Like the
Well,
Scraplet
but I don't
noticed him
understand-
despite him not being living metal.
That Scraplet was alone, whereas all the other later there's multiple Scraplets, so
True.
they can see each other, like they're occupied, and they don't care
Yeah.
about those beings because they're not metal. So like
That
since
makes
that
sense.
one's alone and he's bored, it makes sense that he engages. So I guess it kind of makes
That's a
sense.
good reason for it.
But yeah.
But then there is then when they go right before the cut to the Arctic, or I think it's right before the cut to the Arctic, when the Scraplet does see them, like the
Hmm.
Cybertronians, that shot from like below of the Scraplet opening its mouth and jumping, like I thought that like as imagery, that is like legitimately just terrifying because they
Yes.
made it like a horror creature, like it was something
I was
else.
gonna say these scraplets are a lot more scary when you actually take into account what they are doing and you think about it. It's like that is actually horrifying. Like
There are
if
creatures like that in real life.
I know, and it's
They're
like
called maggots.
I was gonna say you don't think about it, but like that is really gross. Because they're
Yeah.
not humans; they're just robots, which is a lot of how the violence in this show goes. In all
I
honesty,
mean, that's how the G1 stuff got away with so much like stuff back in the day is because it was
this,
just robots kicking the crap out of each other.
yeah, but this isn't even just like regular violence. Like this
Oh
is
yeah,
in
no.
terms of like getting
This is
literally
like
ripped
them gutting
apart,
each
like
other.
yeah, gutting each other. But then this is like bugs eating you alive in seconds, and it's like that is disgusting
It's like
and
maggots eating a living
scary,
thing.
but like instant. Like I said, like
Yeah,
maggots do it slow. Like this is scary, and you don't think
yeah,
about it because they're robots. So don't think about it because they're robots and
yeah.
this is imaginary because that's a creepy thought.
But then the next of my notes cuts to the Arctic where they're cut off. So like
Hmm.
at this point they're already cut off. That's when they because remember the ground bridge broke immediately after they went, which implies that the Scraplets were already there.
Hmm.
So because remember they brought that back at the beginning. So they set up
Yeah.
like two threats the moment it started, which I thought
Yeah.
was interesting. So they have all that play through, and then I what I wrote down was I really like the Arctic weather damage, like the way they made it look.
Hmm.
I've always felt that like the way Prime goes about editing their character models to reflect the damage that the characters have taken is always done really well.
I
Like
would agree.
in the shots, like when they're getting like poisoned or whatever, like there's always like this rust or whatever on them. I've always thought that was cool. And then my next note is because Optimus makes a point of saying that like them moving hastens the process of them dying, and I'm like, then why are you walking through the blizzard? I get you're trying to find shelter, but you have guns. You could probably make shelter, and it would probably
Does
save more
shooting?
energy.
I don't know if shooting a hole in the ground would be shelter though, because they'd still be
No, I
getting
mean like
snowed on.
in one of the like giant hunks of like ice they were next to. They could
Mm,
have carved it out probably. They have blades in their hands. They could have carved out shelter.
yeah, but if they're giant glaciers, what are the chances that they cause an avalanche?
Ah, that's true.
I was
But
just
hey,
saying,
there
think
you go.
about it.
Permanent shelter.
I think they're trying not to die.
That's true, but I thought it was interesting that like despite the fact that they're dying, they're still like hastening the process as well.
Yeah,
It's kind of like a not a double negative, but like a double problem because to solve your problem, you basically have to kill yourself in the process.
yeah.
That's what I found interesting about is that they had to make the decision to either A sit out in the open or B move and probably never find shelter because the likelihood of finding shelter in that terrain is very unlikely. So,
Yeah,
and even then, it wasn't even really shelter they found. They just happened to find like ice that melted away, essentially.
yeah, a slight cave,
So,
which, does lead to the ship moment later. That
oh yeah,
every
I have that in here. I have that in here. But then we
same.
cut back to the Scraplets and the others, and we have Bulkhead scream like a little girl when they go hunting,
Oh
which
my
I thought
God.
was great.
Yeah, that was so funny. And props to the voice actor for going all in on that.
Oh my god, yeah, I didn't know he could reach that high of a note. Like,
Yep.
he went really high on that.
Is this where he first gets attacked too, or no? I can't remember.
Yeah, because remember they have that shot with it, and she's like, Miko's like, oh, it's just a bunch of wires, and he pulls them down, and then all those Scraplets fall on him, and then it just like cuts to
That's right.
black.
Did you notice what he says whenever he has? I think it might be later, but what Bulkhead says about his wound?
What does he say? I can't
He says
remember.
it's just a mesh wound.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It's just a
I was like,
yeah.
that's a great quote.
They go. I would argue that Prime goes in on the puns more than Beast Wars did it sometimes. Like
Sometimes, yes. And man, that was a funny one. I was just
like
like, oh
they'll
gosh,
really go in on it.
that
It's
is
ridiculous.
hilarious.
But
Um,
then they fight the Scraplets, which I thought was cool. The scene with that, with like them
mhm.
using the because remember they have that like panning shot of the three humans standing together fighting off the
Yep.
Scraplets, kind of like Age of Ultron sort of there.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that there was that. Then I just cut to Optimus is giving his advice even until they're dying. Like,
That's
and
very
then
Optimus
they
to
hold
do.
hands, and Optimus XRC is born.
I know. Oh my gosh, this has inspired so much fan art, fan fiction, all that, because of this
Yeah.
one moment. Literally, if we had never gotten this moment, there would be, I guarantee, at least only a quarter of the amount of stuff that
Oh,
we've
probably.
that there
There's
is on the
like
internet.
there's always shipping, but when like you add a little fuel to
I was gonna
the
say
fire
what I
explodes.
was gonna say, and they certainly added something because that was a moment that you could easily twist, which I don't really think that was intended. I mean,
Oh, it
maybe
definitely wasn't.
like I'm trying to think of like if anyone literally like in the story room or like any like if anyone who was involved in the making of Prime maybe was like, yeah, maybe it could be, but I really don't think so.
It
In all
probably
honesty,
they probably didn't even think of that
I say
like
they
at
probably did.
all.
They were just like they're dying and Optimus like they're supporting each other. Like obviously they're not just gonna sit there and stare at each other while they die. Like it's a little bit.
Yeah, they're
But
friends. They've known each other for like a long time, so.
but yes, they hold hands, believe it or not.
Plus,
And
also in Prime, there is no real implication of relationships between Transformers.
true,
That's more
but
of like that was more like a Beast Wars and G1 thing.
But in all fairness, I don't think that because they don't say it doesn't mean it can't
Oh no no
happen.
no! That I'm
Yeah.
just saying like from the writer's story perspective, like not from the fan
Yeah,
perspective,
like
from the writer's
they
perspective. They never even
they
touch
were
on
not
that in the
yeah, they
show
weren't really
really. So
well, but in the line continuity there is, and I bet that they at least had
yeah,
the
there
idea
is,
for
but
I am sure that they at least had the idea of Megatronus and Solus at that point
yeah.
being a couple. So I don't know. I don't know. But either way, I am sure the scene was not intended that way.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
So
Then we have Bulkhead becoming brave and stepping up and like charging through the the thing. There is a moment in there where I was like, that's kind of odd. Where like Ratchet's like ground bridge open, like when he falls. I'm like, I get why you did it, but it feels like a bit much playing into stuff there. But that's just me. Like it just felt like unnecessary dialogue to me. But then Bulkhead charges through with the Scraplets, and
uh
just as they're like basically dying. And then I had a thought. I'm like, who carries who out of that situation? Like, Bulkhead's dying, they're dying. How do they get back exactly?
That's a really good point. I don't know. I mean, I feel like they both would be like, "Oh my God, we're gonna live!" Like, and then make that final push and have the energy. Like, I feel like either of them
Yeah, but
could.
Bulkhead's pretty heavy. Like,
This is true,
uh,
but I don't know.
it's
But
just those
yeah.
things that like you ask because it's like, well, that'd be interesting to see.
Also, I thought it was odd that they set up that a fire extinguisher could deactivate
Yeah.
them, but I thought that maybe it'll be like, okay, Ratchet's gonna develop a chemical just like the fire hydrant, and they're gonna use that to stop them. No, like that was just literally a one-off for the human
Well,
to stop it.
they set up at the beginning that the cold kept them on ice. Remember?
But it's a fire extinguisher cold stuff that's like really chemicals, isn't it? Like a fire
I,
extinguisher? I don't
you
think it's
know,
really
Eric, I've
cold.
never been shot with a fire
I don't.
extinguisher.
I mean, I'm assuming it's not like hot, but I'm pretty sure what stops how a fire extinguisher works is that it's chemicals in the
You know,
foam that stops it. But I don't
I
know
bet if you asked at TFN, Jason would gladly do that to you.
if
I
you,
bet he would gladly hit you with a fire extinguisher.
just for science, just for the show.
Exactly.
Let's do it. No.
He'd say it's just for science, but he'd be like, "Oh yes."
Yes, I get to shoot. I get to shoot him with a fire extinguisher. But I mean,
Yep.
I just thought that was odd that there was like this little setup, like,
You
oh
know,
hey,
I
there's
get it.
something else that can stop the scraplets, but they don't really use it.
That
It's
would have
not
been
that
an
I hate it,
interesting way
but
to go about it. Like that would have, I think that would have introduced a more again
uh,
too much. Like there can be such thing as too much tension, and I think that would have made too much.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
Because you would have Optimus Prime and RC running on the clock, and then you would have had Ratchet running on the clock because he has to develop it before the Scraplets get to them, find them, and destroy all his
And
stuff.
also the fact that like he is well aware of the fact that RC and Optimus Prime are
Yeah.
dying. He's stressed enough, and
It has to come down to priorities for
I
him,
was
and
gonna
his
say,
priority was fix the
and
ground bridge.
Ratchet is already stressed enough, so I feel like that's okay.
I needed that!
Well, so I really thought the end was ridiculous with the spider.
I do like that
You
they
know,
made Bulkhead mock Miko for the same thing that she
I
mocked him
do
for
like
earlier.
that Bulkhead mocked her, but still, I was like, I don't
Oh
think
yeah, no,
that
it
was
was
necessary. But
that was dumb, but I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny. Maybe you didn't like it as much as
For
I
sure.
did.
I didn't hate it. It was just like, did they need to do that? But
Remember, Eric, I'm here for my Beast Wars is better than Prime perspective, and Beast Wars is filled with humor like that.
it's true, and I don't hate that humor. It's just like I don't.
Yeah,
Was it necessary? I don't know. I
you're
don't know
just
if
a
it.
non-believer.
I don't know if it added. Hey, I love Beast Wars, so like, yeah, I'm not. Don't take it the wrong way, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I
I don't
know.
know.
That'll be the next show.
We have a long ways to go.
We
before
do.
we.
See, I knew it would take us a long time to get through Prime. I didn't know if it would take a month in between episodes long. We're gonna be here
That's
till we're 30.
that shouldn't happen again for at
Yeah,
least for a long
it
time. So
shouldn't.
we should be able to
So
do it consistently. Plus, I realized that hey, I can just bring on other. I was like, I have
yeah,
literally over half the people on Nerdy Geek Talk are Transformers fans, so it should be pretty easy to get people to fill in if we
and
can't
even
come
the
up with
ones
other
that are
shows.
non-Transformers fans, you can just go, "Hey, watch this."
Yeah, in for perspective. So that is true. So
It
yeah,
doesn't hurt to change things up every once in a while, even if it's just because people are busy.
yeah, that is for sure. And like I said, we have literally, since we're pretty much at the end, I'll transition into this. On Nerdy Geek
Yeah.
Talk, we have six shows
Are
going
we
on
up to six
currently.
now?
It is
Whew.
six
Is
because we
that
just
is
started
that one every
Mandalorian.
day, aside from whatever day we don't have
Well,
one?
I was gonna say, let's say Sunday is the day that we don't have one. Maybe I don't know.
Yes.
It depends on what day I upload the shows. I'll have a updated schedule later because this is the first week we've had six. But since National Podcast Month. But
Yeah.
so Steel City Bots this week you can check out. We did episode 30. We talked about the new Nemesis Prime reveal, which is pretty
Yeah, I
darn
saw
cool.
pictures of that.
That looks awesome. We talked about other things also. Rumble is blue. For those of you who are wondering, he's blue.
Rumble is
Um,
red.
you're wrong, but you would be good friends with Miguel, so why don't you go talk to Miguel, who we're shunning now. Actually, one of the reasons I consider Rumble to be blue is because the two things that matter to me most are Prime, and also, in terms of G1 characters, the G1 cartoon, both in which he is blue. He's not in the show, but he is a character in, he is a toy in Prime that is blue. So just point that out there. But which again would have no impact on most people's decisions, but personally, that actually does matter to me.
I just said Rumble is red because I just wanted to say the opposite. I just wanted to see I just wanted to see where this would go. I'm not gonna lie. I consider Rumble to be purple. Like that is how it's always been in my head.
Let's say not really blue. That's just what the argument is. But yeah, I know it's
Yeah.
really purple. But you understand what we're talking
Depends
about.
on your continuity of choice.
Yes.
Even the IDW continuity didn't do it right. Like they switched it like 3 times.
Really?
Yeah, I think in the just like the name Transformers run, Rumble might have been red. In one of them, Rumble was red and Frenzy was blue. Like they swapped it like once or twice.
What if there was actual just multiple drones of each, and really they were not
At this
as
point,
important
I
as you
wouldn't
thought?
be
Who knows?
surprised.
Who knows?
Like that would be a good way to write it off.
But I don't know. Other shows
That's
we
not the
have.
discussion of this episode.
Say we have the first episode of Mandalore Mandate, which is our new podcast, which is Star Wars news and discussions. So basically, it
Yep.
was when we started Holocron Herald, it was like, we wanted to do both a Clone Wars breakdown and essentially a Star Wars podcast about current events / just our own discussions we wanted to have on Star Wars topics. But we realized that like that really can't fit into one show the way we wanted to, so we turned Holocron Herald into a Clone Wars breakdown show, and we decided since we talk about all that stuff before and after Holocron Herald, it's like, we should just make it a show. So, Mandalore Mandate, first episode this week with me and Luke. We talk about, I'm trying to think of what news there was. There's the Jabba's sail barge for HasLab.
Yeah, that
got
way
made.
outdid what it needed.
Yeah, it got 1.5 what it needed, which is amazing because it's already an insane amount of money just to get it met, which it did.
150%. Yeah, what was it $500 for one?
1,000.
1,000 for one of them?
I believe. Maybe
No,
I'm
I
wrong.
thought it was
Oh, no,
500.
500. 500. They needed like 5,000, or was it 1,000 people?
I know some
could be
people
wrong.
who like my coworker knows someone who ordered like 3 of them.
Wow. No,
Yeah.
it was $500 a piece, but I can't remember.
The Transformers
how many
fandom doesn't have that kind of money.
No. And also the Star Wars Transformers crossover figures we talk about a bit. And then we talk about what lightsaber design / combo would be the best / which one would we pick between like
Yep.
like cross guard, saber staff, a double-bladed lightsaber, which, believe it or not, double-bladed lightsaber and a saber staff are two different things. Watch the episode if you want to know the difference. They're
Yep.
not the same thing at all. One's a lot more practical.
And there hasn't been, and we had that new episode of Awesome Asylum you did.
I was gonna say, yeah, which is Deadpool clones Young Justice is the title. We talk about the Deadpool animated series that we probably are never going to get now, written by Donald Glover, and the script we got for it, also all the confusion going around it. Young
Well, I mean, he wrote
Justice-
that script in response, so.
Did he though? Because
Yeah, he did.
are you
He wrote it in response
How sure are you?
because that is how it was framed, is that he wrote it in response
That's
to show
not-
that he wasn't busy. That, like,
That's
he
not,
made that, like, the day of. Or not the
but
day
that's
of,
not
but,
how
like,
it.
the time
That's
of.
I don't know about that because later news points to that not being the case.
You think he made the canceled jokes, like, afterwards before he posted it to Twitter
I
then?
think he might have edited it. Yeah, he certainly edited it, but after the series was canceled and posted it. But like, there's references to other episodes that they have now deleted tweets about saying that they made like a Taylor
I
Swift
gotcha.
episode and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I didn't know about
they
that.
wrote the first season because they said that there was a Taylor Swift episode that they think is the reason it got canceled. But
Well, the thing with the last White Rhino was recent. That was within the past couple weeks, wasn't it?
I didn't.
Or was that like, or was
I
that
don't-
long,
I
that long
th-
ago?
I think that was a while ago.
I
could
don't
be
see
wrong
the
on
sun
that.
anymore, Eric. So
There's,
I'm.
there's a lot of different rhinos that have gone extinct in the past couple of years. I'm just putting that. I mean, the white rhino is a bigger deal, but
Yeah,
extinct. What? Let's.
I don't know. That's another topic of discussion for later.
Yeah,
But and then I know on this week of Awesome Asylum, if we get to do the episode, I want to discuss the IDW Hasbroverse ending because people seem to think it's just the Transformer stuff, but it is also the
no, it's
Hasbroverse.
everything, especially because that stuff was already going to end. Because
I was explaining that during I was explaining that
every
to people
Sabtron.
in the chat during RFC. So I think it'd be a good discussion.
Also, there will be a new. So I also Holocron Herald, which is we talk about Dooku captured and the Gungan General, which may not sound like important episodes, but these are the episodes we get.
Dooku captured is a fun one.
We get Hondo Onaka, and
Hondo Onaka's the best.
that is certainly an important / awesome character. You can hear I love Hondo, but Luke loves Hondo, so you can listen to that episode and hear him gush over it. But they are pretty fun episodes, even though you may not expect that just because they're season 1 episodes to begin with, and also just the titles. You know, it's like I don't know about the Gung in general, but it's actually not that bad. And also Misaligned, which I believe they had Christabel on the show, and I think they talked about the first novel, which I think is Exodus in the Aligned continuity. Is that the
It
first one?
is
I think it's
Exodus, yes.
Yeah, so I believe that's what they're talking about. I could be wrong on that, but either
It's
way,
Exodus, Exiles, and then Retribution, I believe. I haven't read Retribution. I've read part of Retribution, but
I've
not
read
all of it.
all of them now. I read them out of order.
Eric,
Not on purpose. This was before I was really into the fandom. This was like my first exposure into stuff, kind of. So I had no idea that there were other ones. So I was like, huh, this kind of doesn't
I'm
make
confused.
sense. I was like, this doesn't make sense, but I like
why
it.
are they at
It's okay.
Velocitron?
Then I went back and read the other one. I was like, that sets up a lot of stuff I didn't understand.
Yeah. See,
I
but
was
there's one more podcast we need, Eric. And since Sunday is free, it's perfect. We need an anime podcast with me and Christabella that is 18 plus, or just it could be 18 plus for language, and it'd be perfect for Sunday because when people get out of their sermons from church, they can hear the sermons of anime.
You know, that's really interesting that you want to get that going because there's someone else that actually wants to get that going.
One
too.
holy thing
Not-
for one
not
unholy
Christabella.
thing.
So that's interesting. We might actually be able to get the ball rolling on that. I will not be on that show though because I'm already on too many shows. But
I would love to be on an anime podcast, considering I'm doing weekly anime reviews on my new channel. So
awesome. But yeah, so
there's a lot of trash.
you can find us. You can follow us on you can find podcasts by subscribing to Nerdy Geek Talk
Yes.
at all your favorite oh my gosh, all your favorite podcasting places or YouTube, up to you. All those places you can find us, and you'll get all of our shows that I just mentioned. You can follow us at Nerdy Geek Talk on Twitter, which I have been tweeting actual stuff from the shows. It's not just automatic posts from whenever shows get uploaded.
What is
I
it? The
actually
automatic
go out.
post of add a message to your video?
It doesn't do that anymore. That is fixed, so don't worry about
I want to know why it kept doing that.
I
You'll
don't
have to
know
tell me.
either. I don't know. That's a really good question. I didn't want it to do that, but either way, it's fixed. I don't know how, but it is. Individually, you can follow me at Eric Crowbar on Twitter or at Aramis Prime, ERIMUS Prime on Instagram if that's your thing. Also, you can check out the newest episode of Radio Free Cybertron if you want, because I was on that. So I think it was 565. Either way, Aaron, where can people find you this?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Maruyasha. That's Maroyasha. Over on my channel, I have a review, and this is topical, for Transformers vs. Visionaries #4 coming out in the next couple days. So I need to record that. I was busy today recording a show for my other channel, Maro Media, which is Maromedia. I've only got 2 videos on there at the moment. It's mainly video essays that it's going to be, but there's going to be the weekly reviews of anime that I mentioned. So
Cool.
you can join me in watching all that trash I'm going to have to absorb into my mind.
I gotta admit, while I keep up on what happens in the IDW universe for Transformers. Like, I know most
I
of
made
the
a video
events,
about that, so.
but I am going to pick up, and I'm excited for Unicron to essentially kill everything.
I made a video talking about the fate of the Hasbroverse, so you can check that out on my channel as well. The only thing I'm unsure of is G.I. Joe, because I've heard that it's getting canceled. I think I heard Chris say that over on RFC one time, but I saw nothing to back that up when I looked it up for like 3 hours. I was searching and
I
didn't
feel
find
like
anything.
that has to end because Skywarp has to end too, right?
Well, Skywarp was going to be in Scarlet Strike Force, and that got
Oh,
canceled.
gotcha.
That got canceled 3 issues in due to low pre-orders and the conspiracy theory of Aubrey Sitterson. But I think G.I. Joe is probably getting canned as well because its sales hit lower than Lost Light for multiple months, and that's pretty bad, as Lost Light was hitting like 6,000 and lower,
Gotcha.
and is slowly dropping as well, especially now that the continuity is ending. So yeah, like I said, I made a video about all that. Essentially, everything is over. Like, all the miniseries are ending within the next month, so
And we have
it's just
no
going to be transferred.
idea what's coming next. So
But I made a Twitter thread on, and I should make a video about it, on how they could do the Hasbroverse right.
I doubt they will, but
They won't.
it's still,
They
I'm
will
sure,
not.
will be interesting to check out. So you guys should definitely go check all that out. And if you
Yes.
don't already, you should definitely check out Steel City Bots. Although, I know, honestly, if you're listening to this show, there's no way you don't. So,
I
but
don't know.
yeah,
Maybe they're here just for the Prime stuff. You never
it's
know.
okay. Our downloads are like so heavy on Steel City Bots. We get downloads on everything, but
Yeah.
Steel City Bots is by far our most popular show.
Don't worry. Awesome Asylum will overtake that eventually. I got this.
Good luck, but yeah, that's about it for this episode. So thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Have a good one.